Hello everyone, and welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition Chronicle, Cradle of Liberty. This is our third prologue, Death Shamble. So let's meet our vampires, starting with Luna.
Hi, I'm Luna, or Druid by Night. You can find me at Druid by Night on all the social medias, but... Oh, and you've probably also seen me on the Rolling Nomads a time or two. But tonight, I will be playing Celeste Ortega, and you'll find out what clan I am soon enough.
Ramos?
Hello everyone, my name is Gilbert Ramos, aka Ramos the Nomad. I've lost it. Tonight I will be Ezra Contreras.
Hi, I'm Syrinx, she, her, and tonight I will be playing Azaria Durand, the Zenitsu that pops up in every Huddy game.
It's true. We need to get you in Berlin somehow. Vin?
Oh my gosh, hi! I'm Vin at VinVoxBay on all the socials, except Blue Sky, that is vinvox.com. I'll be playing Marius Weiss. Don't worry about it.
And since Vin chose a German name, I'm going to say the name correctly in German. Marius Weiss. Last but not least, Zach.
Hi folks, I'm Zachary Vaudo, also known as Sneakernet or Sneakernet Music on just about every social and music streaming site. Tonight, I am once again your host with the most, your everybody's favorite problematic Bruja, Arthur Zebulon.
That's right. Or Zeb, as someone in the coterie calls him. I'm Huddy. I've realized that I haven't done this yet. In this third prologue, I haven't done it yet. I'm Huddy. I'm the storyteller. Hello. Always, this is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play. We've gone over our safety and consent. Please check in with yourselves, as your well-being is important to all of us who are playing. All the content warnings for this game will be down in the description below. So if you all are ready, let's go to Boston. A few nights ago, this newly formed coterie were tasked with finding and retrieving the Malkavian primagen Richard Dunham from the ruins of the Red Salon, and ultimately returning him to Prince Iverson. However, most of the coterie have also received visits from a wandering pack of Sabbat, demanding not only Richard be turned over to them, but the former Prince Quentin King, long gone to the beckoning. In the attempt to bring Richard Dunham back to the Ivory Tower, Vern, the Camarilla dog, beat him into torpor, and the Sabbat took this opportunity to demand their prize. Between gunshots, thin blood alchemy, and shadow tendrils, Arthur, carrying Marius, and all the Sabbat, minus one who lost her head to a shotgun blast, escaped the enclosing authorities, alerted to the area by the noise on the busy Washington street. Several nights have passed since this incident, and all of you have taken time to heal and feed and reflect, so everyone may restore full willpower and reduce your hunger to 1. Now, whether personally or via messenger, all of you have received a summons from April Bosley, the Herald, of your required presence at the Queen's Envy, the newly opened club owned by the Ventru Shufeng, where Elisium will be held. It's important for me to note here that while you have heard Brienne was, let's call it, rescued from the consequences, and you have heard that she's not attending this Elisium with dispensation from the prince, no one has heard from Vern since that night. Arthur, you have replaced all of your equipment broken by Peaches, and while you set your pre-recorded messages to be played in between the music of Liberty Radio, one of your producers, Forrest, enters into the studio to monitor the radio tonight. Not Peggy. Forrest looks drained, like he hasn't slept much, and he even has an extra large energy drink in his hand. "Hey, Arthur," he says as he sets his drink down.
Forrest, I know that we work late nights, but that thing is going to kill you one of these days.
No, you know what's going to kill me one of these days is that Eden chick. I mean, she is something else. I feel just drained.
Do you? Bring her by sometime.
I don't know. I don't think I could ever catch her dead in a place like this. She's always at the ritzy-ditzy places. She's going to that new club opening tonight.
Oh, is she now?
Yeah, the one over in Seaport.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world with her. It seems like she's right up your alley.
Thanks. She said I'm not invited to go with her, though, which is fine because I have to work.
Seems like she's right up your alley, then.
Haha.
Have you heard from Peggy, Forrest? I've been leaving a couple messages, but she's been a bit silent. Not that I mind. She certainly needs it.
I mean, yeah, I've checked in on her a couple of times. She's just not doing well. Hasn't really gotten out of bed. She says that she just feels like she's foggy all the time. So I told her that she might have... My aunt has fibromyalgia. I told her she might have that. She'd go to the doctor.
You definitely had a very rough night the other night, so I'll have to make a house call at some point soon.
I mean, you should probably go visit her anyway. You know she's, got a torch for you, right? Is that the phrase? Hold a torch? Got a torch? Carrying a torch? And it was
like the Olympics. No, I do know. I try not to mix business and pleasure where I can.
That sounds like a really boring way to live, Arthur.
It's the safe way. There's a lot more pleasure out in the world, for her and for me.
If you say so, but once you gotta take a chance on things sometimes. Otherwise you never know what you're missing out on.
You are correct, Forrest. You are correct.
So is there anything I really have to do tonight? You got it all set up? Can I take a nap in your chair or what?
I've got it all set up. Just, wake up on occasion, maybe like once an hour, make sure that we haven't gone off the air. Make sure you set that security system before you do take the nap as well. If it's just you here, after all, I would like to make sure that everything is nice and covered.
Yeah, I guess I can do that. And he sort of waves an iPhone at you. Got it all hooked up right here.
Fantastic. And do not hesitate to call or text me if anything is wrong. I know I'm leaving you to it, but I am more than happy to come on back with no judgment whatsoever.
Cool. But also, don't you usually say, like, when you go out, like, don't call or text you?
Usually. Times change.
Whatever you say, Arthur. About time you get with the modern knights.
All right, Forrest. You take care of yourself. I will see you tomorrow night, hopefully, rather than tonight.
And he sits down in your chair, and he sort of leans back, puts his legs up on the table, sucks down more of that energy drink, and you can already tell that he's about to nod off.
Mm-hmm.
And Arthur, can we ask how you are dressing for Elisium?
It helps that I'm already fond of vests and ties, after all, so I have a standard of being more formally dressed from the get-go. So honestly, not a whole lot different than normal. Again, a nice sleek vest, a tie with some level of like blue or purple in it, color preference after all. But Arthur is A, relatively simple beyond that, and B, has a reputation to uphold, has a persona to uphold, going a bit too far out distances from the whole man of the people thing. And plus, that's not really his speed.
Of course. All right, then. We're going to move our scene over as Arthur makes his way to the Queen's Envy, to Celeste, because you're already at the Queen's Envy, in one of the private rooms at the top floor, because after all, this is a big night for you. You sit at the vanity provided for you by the owner of the club, Shu Feng, the Ventrue, and whether it's a slight against your clan, you do know that the Ventrue and La Sombra have a long rivalry, or she really is just that uninformed, you stare at the black smear that is your reflection in the glass. You don't know if you look ready for Elisium, and you never really will again. Of course, this was less of a problem in Bogota, but when you had all the glitterati that came with your family's wealth and status, but your sire Ezra allowed no ties from your home to be brought with you to Boston. So Celeste, what would we see? Could we see her reflection in the mirror?
Celeste is a very manicured individual. She, even though she can't see her reflection, she will brush her hair 100 times and make sure it is perfectly in line with how she would like to present herself. She's wearing a black dress that's off the shoulder with the velvet choker and the slit up the right thigh. And she's just kind of staring into the black smear, ruminating on the night to come, kind of drumming her fingers on the counter, on the vanity.
Now, as you drum your fingers on the vanity, Ezra, Senor Contreras, you're just outside of your child's door. Do you knock on it as you hear her drumming impatiently on the vanity, or do you pass through shadow to appear in her room?
I don't bother knocking. I will pass through shadow to get to her room.
And Celeste, of course, you're staring into the mirror, and your sire, too, does not cast any reflection, but you see the smear grow larger as he appears.
Muy hermosa, mija.
She'll turn around and stand up, straighten herself. Oh, sire.
You don't look pleased.
I'm not sure. I don't know, the mirror seems like a sick joke, but give the benefit of the doubt.
Can still be of use. Tonight is very important, you know this, right?
Of course, sire.
I'm not convinced. Why is tonight important?
I have to... Well, she'll think for a moment. I have to impress the Camarilla.
More than impress, mija. Tonight you have to cement yourself. Tonight you earn your place. We fight for every scrap we get. Remember, just because you're my child does not earn you anything. If you would disappoint me, you disappoint the prince, you disappoint any of the primagen, you are replaceable.
I won't be a disappointment, sire. I'm not so easily replaced.
We shall see.
Now, Azaria, you are too outside of this door. You watched Ezra step through it in shadow. Do you enter in? Did you listen in?
I was listening in from outside, also wanting to give them a moment to say whatever they needed to say.
Do you feel any compulsion to speak to the child of your paramour? Or does it matter very little, their machinations?
She matters very little to me, but I am giving it the benefit of the doubt, seeing that Ezra still thinks she holds some potential. So I don't bother interacting with her too much.
So I take it as read, you do not knock on the door.
I am content staying outside and listening, hearing what they're saying, but I don't feel like I need to mingle in the conversation.
So Ezra, you've spoken briefly to your child before the, let's call it cotillion gala begins. You step back through shadow out the door and you see that Azaria is there.
Mi diosa, how do you find yourself?
I'm tired of waiting.
Let's waste no more time then.
Is she ready to come with?
She is. She was displeased with the gift of the mirror.
Because she can't see herself, I don't see the problem.
She hesitates. She lingers on these human things, on vain things.
You seem to mind. Why not just take it away? If it bothers
Taking
you.
is giving rid of the problem. She has to learn to face it herself. Her dwelling on it is nothing. She has the means to take care of it herself. I've given her all the tools. She can handle this, then she will die. Alone, on her own. Still, I thought you might offer her a word.
For you, I will.
Gracias, mi amor. Every night you bring me so much joy.
I hope it's much more than joy alone. I don't wait for his answer as I walk into the door.
And Celeste, you were hoping perhaps that this was one of the servitors of the prince telling you that it is time to make the announcement of your presence in the Camarilla, but nope, it is that woman that you've seen with your sire ever since he brought you here, that he spends the majority of his time with when he's not berating you or telling you that you're not good enough.
She'll stand and turn again, ready to say something, but then seeing who it is, she'll stop and just kind of stare for a moment.
As Zarya walks into your room, she stops only a meter in or so, and clearly when you turn around, she looks you very obviously up and down. And then once her eyes meet yours again, she says, "Do you need to see yourself?"
No, not necessarily. It's the principle of the thing.
So, you don't need to see yourself to know what you possess and what you're going to bring.
No, I know myself. I know my capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Then why care about a petty mirror?
It's not the mirror itself, it's the... She knows.
Principle of only seeing shadows in there? Of not having a reflection of yourself anymore?
Feels like a slight, but it's not important.
Darling, it's something that breaks you free from your change. If there is no reflection of you, there's only you. So better make it count, don't you think?
Yeah.
Zarya, you notice that her makeup is askew. You get the impression that when she was, as you know, that Ezra brought her from Columbia, you get the impression that when she was there as Kindred, she had servants, people who would do makeup for her, that she hasn't had to do this on her own. Her lipstick is slightly off, her eyeliner, so forth.
Do you care about perfection, child?
I do. It's the only thing that matters.
Then you will need to fix the makeup you put on your face.
Shit. Okay. I'll need time to do that before it's time to go out.
If perfection is what you value above all else, you'll make sure it's done before we get there.
We're going to move our scene over to Marius. You're already late for Elisium, but after everything that occurred, you needed time with the people who matter most to you. And right now, you're laying nude in the California king size in the apartment above the secret garden. Junebug lays naked in your arms, while Lasher has pulled on some sweats and he has brought his canvas, and he's standing right at the edge of the bed and he begins sketching the scene before him, a lit cigarette dangling from his lower lip as he draws. And you hear Junebug's soft voice whisper into your skin as she presses herself harder against you. Don't go tonight, Mari.
I have to go. It's a whole thing.
What's the worst that will happen if you just don't... You said that your friend isn't going to go. Can't you get a permission from the prince or whatever you called it?
No, I have a position. I have to represent the clan. I would get out of it if I could. You know I would.
You hear Lasher say, "So, is this your way of telling us, Mari, that there will never be freedom? You will always consider yourself a member of the Camarilla. There will be no... The things we talk about, whispers in the pillows, are just whispers, not something that you're really working towards.
You wound me. Look, it's just one night. I leave now so I can come back later.
He flips the canvas around and he very quickly sketched you and Junebug together.
Splitting image.
It's okay. It would look better if I could make it out of flesh.
One day. I hate to keep saying it, but one day. At this point, like, they're untangling themselves from a Junie and, like, looking for some clothes. If not, there's probably something in the closet.
Yeah. You have occult items here. You have extra clothes here. Personal accoutrement that you keep for your, just your own personality. Let's call it. Yeah, you have a whole life here, Marius.
Then she's getting dressed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the canvas is fine. What would you need? I know that's your preferred medium, but just walk me through it. How would you do the whole flesh portrait of someone?
And he sort of makes a grand gesture with his arms and stands in a more empty part of the apartment. And he says, picture it. If I could get multiple people, multiple bodies, I could make a massive statue of our lovemaking out of flesh.
Yeah, I don't think I want a fuck monument, but I love where your heart's at.
Who doesn't want a fuck monument? That's exactly what I would call it, too. The way you have with words, Marius.
Maybe not people, maybe something smaller.
I don't want a fuck monument made out of dogs or cats. That seems uncouth. It doesn't. It seems out below my artistic
does
ability.
Make a commentary about how bestial and how we are all animals in the end.
And Junie immediately starts going, "Please don't make them out of dogs."
It was a joke.
It's not. That's not a joke. That's not a funny joke. That's terrible.
Okay.
And don't give him ideas because there's so many stray dogs in the alley.
Then maybe we'll go back to clay. Dude, we'll make it Genesis style.
He comes up to you and puts a hand through your hair to behind your head, looks at you very seriously, and he says, "Someday I will find my medium, and I will make you something so beautiful that you will weep tears of joy."
And he matches the gesture, the gloved fingers kind of curling under his chin. You're already a masterpiece.
Yes, one that should be gilded, no?
I don't know. He's a little gaudy.
You like me when I'm dripping in gold.
Something to think about. And I think that's another, weave away, heading towards the door.
And you notice, Marius, it gets harder every time to leave. And not just because Junie and Lasher do everything that they can to attempt to keep you there, pleading to your love for them, pleading to the fact that it's much nicer there and you're freer there. But also, of course, it's harder to leave because what you have waiting for you, especially after everything that happened with Dijon and the attack with the Sabbat, is unpleasant, to say the least, when you walk out these doors.
Yeah, but they don't need to know that.
So you gather all of your things, get yourself looking presentable. Junie has sort of draped her arms across Lasher, looking very despondent, as she usually does when you leave, and he sort of picks her up and shifts her so that she's on his back so he can continue his drawing, and she just leans her head into the crook of his neck. And Lasher says, "You coming back tonight?"
I should. That's what I plan to.
"And if you don't, what do we do?"
I'll make sure you know. Again, I have a phone now. I can just do a little call. It's easy.
Just don't let the ivory towers see you, I guess.
Again, I pierced with words. I love you. I love both of you. See you soon, okay?
Be safe.
Always.
You exit out of the secret garden. It's the south end of Boston, and head to Seaport. Now, full disclaimer, anyone might be wondering, Seaport didn't exist when Huddy lived in Boston. That's new. Huddy didn't know anything about it. When Huddy lived there, it was mostly a giant convention center area. But now it's like a bougie, gentrified place for young hip people to spend a ton of money on like apartments and stuff. And there's also like new clubs and stuff. So that's where we're going. And that's where we are. Heading to the Queen's Envy, the newest club in Seaport. And Arthur, you're the first to arrive. And if you were hoping that Vern would be there, as I said, you already know that Brienne won't. You heard she let both of you know through one of her employees at the Queen's Cellar that she won't be. But if you were hoping that Vern would be there, there is no sign of him at all. As Marius eventually arrives, you have to stand outside maybe 10-15 minutes. You're just about to walk in and you're like, she's not coming. I'm doing this alone. Thanks, guys. Such a coterie we are. But then Marius finally turns the corner and you see him.
Oh, good.
Nice.
I was concerned I'd have to step in there by myself, and it's already hard enough for my clan being in there.
Listen, if anyone's fucked tonight, it's me. Derogatory. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, you're not the one that wound up in prison or the morgue.
Oh, and you're not the one who... I'm pretty sure you'll find out soon enough.
Well, shall we then?
Of course, after you.
Certainly. And I'll walk up towards the Elisium entrance to whatever it takes to get inside.
Do you walk arm in arm, or do you just walk side by side?
I think I've only like barely known Marius at this point, so probably just side by side.
You've known each other tangentially, but like, have you had like in-depth conversations? No.
Right.
Just
Right.
depends on what vibe you want to put out.
Honestly, probably side by side, but given Arthur's mindset, like side by side, but with readiness to do more to give the impression of like Marius having, like somebody having Marius's back if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the first coterie to be formed after the first light, so...
And there's only half of us right now. So,
and there's only half of you, so if you want to present a united front, however you want to do that, that's up to you.
Well, we're presenting a coterie, not a polycule, despite how often they interlope.
That's entirely your decision. So yes, you approach the entrance of the Queen's Envy. It's a discreet ivy-colored archway flanked by wrought iron lanterns. A single neon sign glows in elegant script. Its emerald light shimmering faintly on the snowy sidewalk. There's a velvet rope that guards the entrance, manned by a stoic doorman whose presence feels more ceremonial than necessary for the kindred in attendance. And as he nods to you, he removes the barrier for entry. Stepping inside reveals a multi-level layout that marries Victorian elegance with contemporary edge. The air hums with heavy bass lines and muffled chatter. There's blood dolls who sway and grind on the dance floor, their movements very hypnotic under the shifting glow of green and gold spotlights. The scent of perfume and sweat creates a very heady mix. Decor is opulent yet subdued, lots of dark velvet drapes, lots of deep emerald hues, mahogany tables. And there's a sleek marble bar that wraps around one side, staffed by ghouls in the tailored black suits and red masks. Marius and Arthur, probably. You recognize these same suits that the ghouls and servitors wear in the lounge, the prince's, where you had that incident, Marius. And they're pouring blood from crystal decanters. At the far end, there's a raised dais, which is sort of a focal point of the club. And on a gilded throne-like chair sits Prince Iverson, drenched in fabrics of rich green and golden jewelry. A pair of marble busts that depict sort of ancient Roman rulers flank the throne, their faces serene yet severe. Both of you notice that the sheriff, Delson Coates, who is almost always seen with Prince Iverson, is not standing behind her. On the dais sits 2 other kindred that none of you are particularly familiar with, and I will let Syrinx tell us how you and Ezra are presented on this dais, as there are smaller thrones to sit upon if you so choose, or if you're standing. I'll let you tell me.
I imagine that even though there are multiple thrones to sit on and other seats, for a long while, Azara would have probably been standing there and watching the people inside. And after a certain point, she would have sat down. And I imagine that Ezra continued to be standing quite next to her, a little bit to the back, close enough to lean in over her shoulder and to be whispering to each other about things. Ezra's hand is resting on her shoulder, and she has a hand of her own raised up to, like, with just one finger, trace his hand, and, like, each finger separately in a seemingly loving, tender gesture.
What you also see are the other primagen of the court gathered here. They're on chaise lounges, or they are just sort of mingling. Some of them are at the bar. They don't hold a place of high praise here like these 2 primagen do, for whatever reason that is. And can Marius and Arthur give me a wits and awareness really quick? Because there's a couple of the people here you wouldn't recognize. Arthur might, though.
Absolutely. I have a question, though.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, in fact, a Bruja primagen, or is my clan still one of the not... Okay, cool. Making sure. That's 4 successes.
Mm-hmm.
4 successes.
4 successes. Perfect. So both of you see, as I mentioned, you can look in the Discord and see all the primagen who are here, including your sire, Marius. You do see 2 kindred that you don't know. One of them is with Shu Fang. He is a sort of short, tan man. He's got a bald head, but around his head he has a lot of tattoos, one of them being thorns as a crown of thorns, very very Jesus-like, right? And another one who, calling her Jessica Rabbit might be doing her a disservice, but she looks like she's cosplaying as Jessica Rabbit. And both of you with 4 successes. At first, when you see her and she's walking under the lights, you think that she's just decked out in, like, jewels, like she's dripping in literal diamonds or some sort of pale jewels. But as you look a little bit closer, she's not. Those are silverfish bugs. They're also trailing behind her.
Toys. Well, this is all a bit ostentatious, but it is what it is. Shall we do the presentation bit now or later?
Oh, just rip the Band-Aid.
Might as well. And I imagine Marius will just walk towards Prince Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
Not like up to them, but, you know, proper procedure.
So you walk, and do you bow?
Once I get there, yes.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, proper procedures. Prince Iverson.
Prince Iverson is an average heighted woman. She's very short blonde hair and bleach blonde hair that she can always smell the fresh bleach, and she sort of does every night. She's freckled, pale with green eyes, and she nods at you both and she says, "Well, I am so happy that you finally decided to join us."
My apologies. I couldn't decide which glasses to wear.
That's fair enough. And you can almost feel Dijon seething very nearby you, Marius. But I think since now at least all of the invited kindred are in attendance, we can begin. And unfortunately, I don't have my sheriff with me. Arthur, would you mind being my pseudo sheriff for the evening? Ersatz, if you will.
Are you asking me to keep people in line or to call people in?
Let's see what the night calls for.
Very well, my friends.
So do you go and stand behind Prince Iverson?
I'm gonna wait for a motion to do so, because I've been asked to fill the role, but not necessarily to step up there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hang with Marius until I'm specifically asked to go up there.
Iverson stands, and she gestures for you to come up on the dais. stand behind her.
I'll shrug, look to Marius, and go, "Be right back, I guess." And
Duty calls.
I'll step up and just hands are clasped in front of me.
Now it's strange, Arthur. You've known for everyone here. You've been in the Boston court the longest, longer even than these two primagen, who look sort of like Morticia and Gomez Adams next to you. You've never known Delson not to be at Prince Iverson's beck and call. For him not to be here is either something really bad or something catastrophic.
And I'm hoping that by fulfilling the request asked of me by our dear prince, I might be able to figure it out a bit later.
And she sort of clasps all of her hands and announces to the room, expects the room to quiet down, and Shufang, of course, runs around, makes sure everyone is quiet to hear the prince. And she says, "Welcome, kindred of Boston. Now, we all have been through tumultuous times these last few years. We have all spent so much of our own vitae and strength and resources to try and rebuild this city. And of course, we never forget the ones that we've lost." And she looks specifically over at Caius, the Nosferatu Primagen now. And she says, "Jara." And she looks over at April, says another name. She looks over at Marius, and she doesn't say a name. And she begins reciting names of kindred that you've heard of, some of them childer of these primagen, some of them kindred that you never met or only met briefly at Elisium, listing name after name after name of kindred who have died or met the final death when the Second Inquisition attacked Boston, specifically attacked the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. However, both of you notice, Marius, you've spent some time with the Anarchs, and Arthur, you've spent more time with the Anarchs. She doesn't mention any of the Anarchs who died or who lost their own lives. Not a one. She does not mention their role in helping eliminate the Black Site. She doesn't mention any of it. But she continues, "But tonight, we are forging a new path in Boston. The jewel of the Camarilla has grown a bit dusty, a bit dingy from all of these events, and we are going to brighten her up. We are going to show everyone that Boston is fit to sit in her crown. We start first with an announcing of the new Ventru Primagen of Boston," and she looks over at Shufang. "This club has been offered up to the court as a place of Elisium. She has brought with her an Anarch turned to the Ivory Tower. Now, of course, he will go through his paces. He will be the responsibility of Shufang, but he is one of the followers of Set. And if anyone would like to correct Prince Iverson, they may, or they may not."
If any of us would like to correct the prince, we could certainly speak up.
Just checking. His name is... And then she looks over at Shufang. "Well, you can ask his name for yourself. And of course, we have a new Primagen as well. New Ventru Primagen, but a new Primagen, the first for the city of Boston. Would you like to tell us who you are and who you'll be representing for this city?"
Sorry, I will stand from her chair. She's quite lanky. She seems to have a sort of muscular build. Honestly, it looks very plain. Very just there. She's wearing some normal skin-tight black trousers and then a white long-sleeved shirt on top there that kind of is buttoned almost all the way up to her neck, fully covering herself. It gives the vibe of, for those of you who would have seen it, it gives like a fencing shirt vibe to it. As she stands there, she stands very straight, still, and looks around the room. If her gaze falls on you, it feels like she is sizing you up, even from like one glance. As she says, she gives a little like head bow. It is a pleasure to be in Boston, my prince. And thank you for this honor of making me your Tsumitsu primagen. I'm looking forward to offering my services to Boston, to all the kindred in this room. Let us rebuild after what we have lost.
And applause erupts, Ezra being the first to applause. When it quiets down, Iverson says, Azaria was a member of the Boston court, and Arthur, the face is familiar. You're not sure if you ever met her. But Iverson continues, she was part of the Boston court when my predecessor was still prince, and he foolishly ran her out of the city for an imagined slight when she bested him at a duel. We shall be making no such mistakes in the future. And when I say we'll be making no such mistakes, that brings me to my next announcement. In order to rebuild Boston, to start new, we need fresh blood, let's call it. So let's begin with the first La Sombra embraced in Boston. And she looks at you, Ezra.
We'll stand a little bit straighter. And rather than speak, I will gesture toward my child.
So you turn and hold your arm up, and Celeste, someone opens the door for you. You step out onto the mezzanine. As I said, this is a multi-tiered club. And you look down over the court. They're all staring up at you. Arthur and Marius, you're staring up at a young woman dressed completely in black with dark hair. And Ezra, would you like to announce your child?
Kindred of Boston, I give you Celeste Ortega, my gift to the city.
Applause erupts again as Celeste makes her way down the spiral staircase to join the rest of the court and stand next to her sire on the dais. And Iverson, before we get back to enjoying the rest of our night here in Elisium, the final announcement. All primagen of Boston will now have full dispensation to make a new child. Should their childer prove successful and useful, that dispensation will move further down. But until then, there will be no childer made outside of the primagen. Is that understood? You watch this Jessica Rabbit-looking woman nod. You watch the young man with the bald head look very nervous, eyes moving left to right, left to right. Now please, enjoy the libations, enjoy each other's company. And I will hopefully see you back at this Elisium very soon. And she turns to you, Arthur, and she says, do make sure that no one gets rowdy. And she moves to leave.
Prince Iverson, if I may ask a brief question.
As long as it is exactly that.
It is. I'm one of the only ones without a primagen here. How does that factor into your directive?
You are not a primagen. Therefore, and you are not, if there is a child that you would like, you would have to bring them to me. I would make the decision, but as of right now, I'm not allowing anyone not primagen to make childer.
So long as I know when I can, thank you.
Certainly. Is that all?
No, not at all. I'll just do Delsin's job for the rest of the evening until he decides to show up.
Delsin is busy. Cleaning up a mess.
Hopefully not too big of one.
I'm sure we'll hear all about it once Brienne has recovered.
I see. Thank you, my prince.
She leaves.
And I will, because of that, I'll turn to the crowd and just go, as you were. Step down. I got told to chaperone this event, so I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll step down and walk over to Marius.
Well, that was... I was going to say painless, so I guess
either
fun
way.
and painless are the same thing. Yes.
Not always. So, word that I got is that Delson isn't here because he is trying to fix what went wrong a few nights ago.
Oh, goody.
Makes a bit of sense why she asked me to fill in.
Oh, yeah, someone had to pay.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I imagine people aren't going to get up their own asses here too terribly much. They know what it entails.
Oh, no, not with the big scary brouhaha around. And their gaze has gone beyond the conversation, kind of like scanning the crowd.
You see Dijon staring directly at you, daggers into you, perhaps.
I'm looking in the opposite direction.
You are looking in the opposite direction of your sire. Is that correct? All right.
So, new childer for the city.
I don't know if I like that.
Well, if we're going to, I suppose, get back to normal, it has to happen eventually.
Yes, but we have a very interesting council, says the whip.
Fair enough. You don't like the inherent nepotism that we might be seeing.
Oh, absolutely. It just breaks my heart.
What do you think of our first Nepo baby? As I point over to Celeste.
I don't know. We haven't seen much, if anything. Should we introduce ourselves and be polite, or?
I suppose if we're trying to preemptively get back in good graces that we may or may not have fallen out of, it certainly wouldn't hurt.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll also point out that as you probably talk about the Nepo baby and you, one of you or both of you, I don't care, look over and glance at her, you at least see Azaria staring straight at the two of you as she's talking to Ezra.
Which will cause me to a light double take. And as we walk over, I go, I swear I know that woman. But I'll walk with Marius towards Celeste.
So, to approach Celeste, you have to approach back up on the dais and where Azaria and Ezra are. So you'll essentially be meeting all three of them.
As the two of you get closer, I imagine that Azaria was talking to Ezra and saying, I believe those two were part of the first coterie that was built back up after the First Light affair.
I had heard. What do you make of them so far?
Give me a quick description again of the two of you, please. Just physically, the way you look tonight.
Fortunately, I look the way that I look right now that you see on camera. So, Arthur is a average height, average build Jewish man with long brown hair that has some white streaks in it. More olive toned skin than anything else. Glasses, vest, tie. Has his necklace around the tie as well. Looks on the edge of classy.
So the two of you look at Arthur. I need both Ezra and Azaria to make me either wits and streetwise or wits and politics, whichever's harder for you. I believe one of you has a specialty in the sex and the factions. So that one plus your specialty.
And so you also said just average build.
Are we doing this again?
Yeah.
Just like Blood on the Grand Strand all over again.
Yeah. I asked them how they look because Ezra asked me what I make of them so far.
Yep. Just a 5'8", 5'9", nothing, not too muscly, not out of shape. Just
that live chat was
relatively
hilarious with Syrinx asking everyone, asking each one of the coterie, "What's your build? What's your body like?"
I have 4 successes on the roll.
Okay. Ezra might be a little bit higher.
5 successes. With a crit.
Yes. Azaria, you recognize Arthur. You don't think you ever met him. You've heard he is the remaining Bruja in the Camarilla. I've heard of him word of mouth, maybe. Ezra, you're a little bit more connected. You know Arthur to be of someone of high importance. You're not entirely sure who he's connected to that makes him of such high importance, but he has connections with the Anarchs, connections with the Camarilla, and he runs the Liberty Radio that sort of gives Kindred information coded out through the airwaves. So you have heard of him at the very least.
And that's me, so I'll turn it over to Marius.
I'm about to say ditto. The only difference between Marius and the screen is like their hair is done up maybe a little bit more nicely. They look more like restaurant fine dress than like an event. Kind of nervous energy. But than that, about 1 for 1.
Okay. Average build.
Little curvy, little plus, little
Okay.
torrid.
Okay. As Ezra asks her that question and they're looking at the two of them approach, she says, one of them seems more promising than the other. They're not anything special as far as I'm seeing right now.
Take care, querida. That one has connections. Could be quite useful.
Oh, that is very useful indeed, especially if I'm still looking for my grandchilder.
He is the radio host. If you're into such sort of thing.
I think you briefly mentioned it. I wasn't around when I was here.
It's a big thing now.
J'en ai marre de la déception, you know? I am tired of all the disappointment.
See, as am I.
Boston will bring something new this time around.
We can only hope. Are you listening, Mia?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to remember, Mia?
Of course, sir.
Good. Make a good impression.
So as the two of you approach these 3 relatively new kindred to you, start with Arthur. How do you introduce yourself?
Well, first I was going to ask, are you just, obviously Ezra just spoke to Celeste, but are you just all 3 right there? Is it staggered? Am I going to run into one of you before the other?
Azaria is sitting down on a smaller throne than what the prince is. Ezra is standing directly behind her, and Celeste is standing to the opposite side of the chair next to her sire.
If at all possible, Ezra would urge Celeste forward, so she is the first one to meet.
Perfect. Then as you approach, Ezra gestures for Celeste to stand before Azaria.
And I'll step up and just go, hi there, and extend a hand. Just go, Arthur Zebulon. Pleasure to meet you.
Celeste will extend her hand daintily forward and nod politely and say, Celeste Ortega. Lovely.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And this is my companion Marius. Marius, say hi.
Hi, I'm Marius and Primagen. A pleasure.
Yes, hello. Hello, Senora Contreras, and our new Semisi Primagen. That was quite a surprise.
She does stand up at this point, and it's the movements are the slightly off slow type of movements where it's like a little bit eerie to look at her move. As she lifts herself up from the chair, she reaches out a hand towards Arthur. She's
Ever the host. I'll take it.
She grips it one finger at a time until her whole hand is like engulfing yours. And gives a little shake before she releases it.
Arthur, will you roll me, let's call it intelligence and awareness?
Why not? 2.
Yep. Now that you look at her, you think you remember seeing her. Last time you saw her, she was wearing a crown? God, you can't remember. It was quite a long time ago, but you think she was wearing a red crown. And you don't know why that image sort of flashes in front of your head when you see her, but that's what you pick up.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Introducing myself. Just shaking the hand. I'm not going to bring that bit up yet, though.
I'm delighted to see that Boston finally has its Mitsu primagen again. But, as we all see, the court desperately needs rebuilding.
Well, it did take quite the hit not too long ago, but we'll get it all back in order in no time.
You sound so confident.
You have to be, don't you? Otherwise, we're all just going to fall into despair and run around until the sun comes up.
Is that all it takes? For you to run around in despair?
It takes very little for some people.
But for you,
My confidence is for them, Senor Contreras. I am, after all, the voice of liberty.
indeed, that is what they say.
I was about to say the prince does seem to take you for quite the potential with the positions he offered you tonight.
I imagine that where the current sheriff has seen himself off to required me to step in this
No,
particular
she could have chosen anyone in this room, yet she chose you.
I'll take it for the compliment it may be, then.
You won't look any deeper into it?
Oh, I
Look at
will.
what you could gain from it?
What I could gain, maybe not. Looking deeper into it, I definitely will, but she's not here at the moment, so we'll have to come back to that one.
Indeed, and you. She looks at Marius.
Yes.
It seemed applied that you lost someone in the battle, yet no one was named.
I honestly don't know how to interpret that. It felt pointed, but where? Who knows?
Did you lose someone?
Not
I
that
mean,
I'm aware of.
Most interesting.
I'm going to ask for that wits and politics roll again from Azaria and Ezra.
I would also like to point out that as they're talking there, as Azaria also stood up, that she has a hand on Ezra's, probably on Ezra's back.
Mm-hmm.
4 successes again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go willpower reroll to see if we can get any more.
Sure, why not? Too bad that
So
wasn't,
worth it. 7 successes.
too bad I wasn't asking you to use something potent. Yes. No, Azari, you don't know because you were in Myrtle Beach at the time. But Ezra, you do remember that Dijon had another child, Imani, who perished in the Second Inquisition.
Looking at Marius, you feel no loss for your sibling.
It's a vague recollection at best, not to mourn the past. I prefer to see myself as the future.
As do we all, as I'm sure your sibling thought too.
May he rest in peace.
No, I think, mon amour, that you are not quite right there. A lot of people presume they are the future. Not a lot of people see themselves as the future.
See, and what elegantly spoken as always.
I'm gonna look over at Celeste and give her one of those like oh, this got real heavy real fast looks and go. So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been with Senor Contreras?
Oh, not very long.
Wonderful. I imagine you've gotten a feel of the city so far. Are you a local?
I am.
Well, I don't know if a radio was ever your thing, but I'm over on the AM dial. If not a problem. But
I had no idea, but I'll have to give you a listen.
absolutely. Well, I'm glad to hear that you'll be in a familiar location, albeit a different perspective on it.
Absolutely. It helps.
Is that why the rest of your coterie is not here? Are they tending to your radio station?
Oh no. I'm the only person in this group that works at that particular location. They other things to do. One of them I know was indisposed for excused reasons. The other one, well, is another not quite represented by the Camarilla clan.
I see. Bold of them to miss such an event, don't you think?
I imagine that if he didn't make it, he was probably very explicitly told not to. He's good at that.
Yeah.
Very good at
I'm sure
listening.
that they are missed.
Oh, absolutely. I do hope that they complete what they want to complete and get back up on their feet in no time.
But you wouldn't miss an event such as this. I'm glad to see that at least two of you are here. The prince that already talk about you. The first coterie to be reformed after the whole affair, after the losses. Quite a symbol for the Camarilla.
See, an honor, some might say.
Oh, speaking of coteries and honor, Celeste, have you have any plans to join a coterie?
I'll look over to my sire briefly and say, I will go where I am needed.
Indeed, we've spoken very briefly about her choice in friends and who she might keep company with.
Well, play dates are hard to come by nowadays.
And it is such a complex web that we all find ourselves in here. It's certainly worth the it's worth the effort to put into it.
Absolutely.
As the voice of liberty, and as the interim sheriff, perhaps you might feel so inclined to introduce Celeste to the rest of the Camarilla tonight, to be her escort.
That is quite a few people out there, but Celeste, if you'd like to take a walk and meet some new faces, I'm more than happy to.
She'll smile once again, but it doesn't meet her eyes, and she'll say, of course, it'd be my pleasure.
Absolutely.
Please, after your walk and taking dear Celeste to meet some new people, do come back to us. I have a few things to say and ask still, but enjoy your night up until then.
I will bring her back by the appointed curfew.
See that you do.
Lead Celeste away from the dais. Marius, as you step down as well, Dijon sort of loops his arm into yours and walks you pointedly away from the dais. Keeps a smile, a general demeanor of affability about him, but he whispers in your ear, "Ingratiate yourselves to them. They have the prince's favor."
Of course, I'm nothing but cordial.
You know what I mean, Marius.
Exactly, sir.
First coterie after first light. Offer your services. Make yourself useful to the clan. And he lets go of you and sort of puts both hands on your face as if he's so proud of you, and then walks up to the dais to shake hands with Ezra and kiss Azaria's hand. And that is where we will take our little break. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cradle of Liberty. It's Prologue 3, Death Shamble. And our half of a coterie here met these two primagen, the somber primagen Ezra Contreras, and the new primagen, the Smitsi Azaria Duran. We also learned that Shu Feng has been named Ventrue Primagen, which is probably news they'll have to break to Briony at some point. They've also met Ezra's child, Celeste, the first, supposedly, La Sombra, embraced in Boston, and have learned that Prince Iverson is allowing all of the primagen to embrace Childer, but only the primagen. Now, Arthur, where are you going to lead Celeste? And Celeste, do you how demure are you? Do you hold his arm? Do you just walk beside him? Do you walk a step behind him? What is the power play here?
Is an arm offered?
Yeah. If it seems like Celeste is, I don't know, like more quote unquote like proper or rather more like timid in the crowd of people, then the sense of security would be offered. But otherwise, you're just going to walk and treat her like you treat anybody else.
I think it's less being timid and more kind of expecting the sense of security, the arm being offered. There's like an air about her.
Yeah, I think like after a while, if it's noticed, it'll be like, I'll just do the thing.
Celeste, at any point, do you look back at Ezra as you leave their presence?
Not like in an obvious manner. If she's like facing in a direction where she can glance to her side, and she'll glance over.
When you glance to your side, you see Ezra and Azaria engaged in deep kissing, let's call it.
Cool.
Jaw unhinged.
So,
She'll just be like, okay.
So Arthur, where do you lead Celeste? And of course, you can see the list of NPCs if you wish, or you can meet the Jessica Rabbit cosplayer with the silverfish all over her, or meet Shufang and this follower of Set, as he was referred to.
Eventually, just at this point, just wandering through to get away, and you'll feel like Arthur's demeanor shifts slightly. He's always got that persona on, but the sense of propriety drops a little bit as he goes like, that is so much damn pressure to be up there, isn't it? Good God.
I can handle it.
Well, I sure hope so. If you're the first kid in the group, I wish you got all the luck in the world.
Oh, I don't need luck, but I appreciate it.
No, you don't need luck when you've got that for your dad. But please, let me introduce you around, folks. Do you know anybody here already, or are you just like brand new into this place?
I don't know anybody, no.
All right, well, Marius, I'll just like look around until Marius like comes through the crowd, unless you're going for somewhere else.
Marius, are you joining them, or are you going to wander off?
Oh, I'll join. Mm-hmm. Easy, straightforward.
That's gonna go. Who do you think would be for a good first impression? I don't want to throw her into the deep end with some of the big people.
Oh, that is. I mean, I think we're pretty standard in terms of depth. The rest are going to be interesting no matter what.
That's fair enough. And then,
I mean, we
just,
could.
Just seeing across. I'll just like wait. I'll wait for MM and like hand on Marius' shoulder, arm linked with Celeste. Just try to maneuver through the crowd to people.
is seated with her sire, Hilda McAndrews, the Toreador primagen. Let's get wits and insight from Marius and Arthur.
Okay.
Has lots of sort of gold body paint on. She's wearing a very fashionable, high-end fashion red dress, haute couture. Hilda is dressed a little bit more down. She's dressed in sort of a black pantsuit.
I got nothing. I am entirely focused on new kid not being just stuck with her awkward parents.
So nice of you, Arthur.
4 successes.
Now, Marius, you have spent a little bit of time with at the very least, you spent time in the company of your sire. You've always known her to be very vibrant, very lively. She's Toreador true and true, an artiste, if you will. She's very subdued. She seems very, let's say, quixotic. She's sitting very close to Hilda, who you have heard that she does not get along with Hilda, but she's sitting very close to her, and they seem to be very cordial with each other. But smiles at both of you, and she says, Arthur, Marius, it's so lovely to see you this evening.
Good to see you as well. Just bringing Celeste here around to get to know more of the population.
MM holds out her hand. As I said, she has a lot of sort of gold body paint on, and she holds her hand out to you.
I will extend my hand as well.
So lovely to meet you, Celeste. I'm MM Lewis.
The pleasure is all mine.
MM here is an artist of some particular renown. Are you an art appreciator? I know it's a loaded question to ask in front of a Toreador, and I apologize immensely for it, but nevertheless.
Why, of course.
Well, I'm a jazz singer by trade. In the 1920s in Paris, I was quite popular, wasn't I, Hilda? And Hilda sort of looks down and rubs the back of her hand across her cheek, and she says, "You were and always a star, my love."
I would love to hear you sometime, if that's not too much to ask.
MM sort of just gives a shy smile. I don't really perform anymore, and Hilda likes to keep me close these nights.
From what I hear, that is understandable.
Thank you.
Well, I do hope you get back into it when you can, and then the city is worse for it.
Oh, Arthur, you're enough of a performer for all of us, I think.
Spinning the music isn't the same as making it.
And she looks at Hilda. Maybe if the city goes in a upwards direction, there will be time for such revelry.
And with the cue, I'll just go, and Celeste, this is Hilda McAndrews. She's the Toreador primagen for the city.
Do a small head bow. Pleasure to meet you.
Well, you are quite proper, aren't you? Where did you say you were from?
I'm local to Boston.
Will you roll me a manipulation subterfuge?
Hey, I put points in that for once, so sure.
I should hope so. Hilda is not the biggest fan of Ezra and Azaria.
That's no worries. They're each other's biggest fans.
Yeah, but of course she's only the biggest fan of herself. Oh. Okay. Well, sorry, Hilda. The fuck? That's a first.
So I spent willpower,
Yeah.
but I got a messy crit with some 4 successes with a messy crit.
Perfect. 4 successes with a messy critical. She only rolled 2 successes, so she's definitely not going to notice that you have a slight accent to your voice. However, with your messy critical, you are going to fall under your clan compulsion of ruthlessness. So, and how that's going to manifest in this very social scene that we're doing here is you are going to, that sort of sweet facade that you're putting on in order to ingratiate yourself to the court is going to become quite a bit more hardened, a little bit less, you're a little bit less inviting person to speak with and talk to. It comes out in your voice and your demeanor. And Hilda says, "So, your sire have big plans for the city, is it?"
Yes, he does.
"And you are key to these plans? You seem as meek as a church mouse."
I will go where I'm needed to serve.
Spoken like a true drone.
Just raise an eyebrow, but say nothing.
Are you sure she's not one of yours, Arthur? One of those layabouts in Southie?
Layabouts? I'm hurt, Hilda.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
And you, Marius? How do you... You're clan whip, aren't you? How do you size up this new keeper? That's what we used to call you.
Well, I, for one, am absolutely excited. And not tired at all.
She leans over to Amam and she says, "Do you remember when Imani used to arrive in just the most fabulous outfits? She would drape herself in colors of blood red and crimson. Oh, I do miss those nights."
Well, everyone will be missed.
Some more than others.
But
Of
we
course.
grow and evolve as the nights go on. And misreading Celeste's sudden stoicness as wanting to get the hell away from Hilda, I just go, it was lovely to see you both. And then if you ever want to do like maybe an in-studio show, not out in the public eye, let me know. Like I've got the equipment for it.
You
Feedback.
notice MM look at Hilda. Hilda does not look at her, and she looks back. That's very kind of you, Arthur. Thank you.
Absolutely. Shall we? And I'll step away from from the group with I'll say I say that to Marius and to Celeste. Shall we?
Oh, of course. You'll have a very good evening.
MM smiles warmly at you. Hilda remains cold, as she always is.
Do a slight nod to him, but not acknowledge Hilda.
Bold.
Stepping away, I'll just kind of like glance back and look over to Celeste and go, a little bit too familiar?
Not my favorite personality type.
Understandable. There's just so many people here, and I'm trying to figure out, do you have any particular types of folks that you're looking to meet? You seem a little off-put by the evening, which I don't blame you for. It's a lot to be put on the spot like this.
It is. Whoever is... I imagine these... I'm sorry, I'm so new to this. The primagen, they seem very important. So I imagine meeting them would be most prudent.
Well,
Makes
I guess we can go. Yeah. Tick for tack. I meet your parents, you meet mine.
That would make sense.
Wonderful. Would you like to meet my sire?
Sure. The way you sound, he sounds lovely.
Riveting, very enthusiastic, a very abrasive stand-up guy.
Dijon, who is wearing a trilby hat and a bow tie and shorts for some reason, because that's the way he's presented in Swan Song, is currently standing very close to the dance floor. He's keeping an eye on the woman that you saw before, the Jessica Rabbit cosplayer covered in bugs. And she's dancing with some of the blood dolls, and he's sizing her up. He's staring at her. He's very disapprovingly, if you'd like to approach him.
Sir, I hope I'm not interrupting.
He looks at the three of you and looks back at her. She's covered in bugs.
Well, some of us have particular afflictions. Some more obvious than others.
Yes, do find out what she's doing here. And he looks at you, Arthur, specifically. You're supposed to keep any rabble out.
I'm supposed to keep everybody on their best behavior. Sir.
Coming in here with bugs is not best behavior.
That's a terrible thing to say to some of our Nosferatu friends.
Caius is our only Nosferatu. Currently still on the side of the final death, and he's not covered in bugs. He just has that terrible macaw.
We'll get a sense of who she is. Maybe that can be the next person we introduce after, and I gesture over.
Yes, of course. Celeste, this is our Toreador Primagen and my sire, Dijon.
Tremere Primagen, and he holds his hand out.
I will hold my hand out to him as well. Celeste Ortega, lovely to meet you.
Yes, Ezra and I have a very healthy working relationship. I am excited to have him in the city. I think it will really help get things in motion to the benefit of both of our clans. I know mine has a bit more of presence and status in the Ivory Tower, but with time, the Lasombra will have their rightful place, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Is that all?
Just wanting to make your acquaintance and making my rounds.
Yes. Do keep an eye on my child. They are very precious to me.
Kind of look over at Marius. Absolutely, sir.
And Marius, don't forget, It is not only Celeste who should be ingratiating themselves to Primagen tonight.
I haven't forgotten.
Good lad. And he walks away from the dance floor. Turns to you once more. Arthur. I will be sure to let Iverson know that you weren't able to complete your duties this evening.
Oh, what, the evening's not done yet, sir?
Then get to it. He smiles and walks away.
That was brief.
Oh, the best
With me.
moments are. Besides, that was kind of rosy, wasn't it? Never seen him so afflicted over bugs.
Well, perhaps that should be our next stop then.
Sure.
Of course.
And walking, I guess, out onto the dance floor.
Who
Did you
walks
say
out?
the bugs, the silverfish are on the floor as well as on her?
They're sort of around the hem of her dress, as well as
Okay.
on her dress. Now, who walks out on the dance floor first?
Probably me, unless somebody
right.
gets particularly eager.
So, as soon as she sees someone step out on the dance floor, she sort of grabs onto you and starts dancing.
I'll release Celeste to not drag a chain of people.
And as she sort of moves her arms up and down you, the bugs do begin to crawl on you.
Yeah. Well, you have a very particular taste, don't you?
I have lots of particular tastes. What's your name, Sugar?
Arthur Zebulon, Sheriff Pro Tempore, it seems, for the night. How about you?
They call me Eden.
Eden, I've heard all about you.
Really? From who?
You are making my producer Forrest exhausted on a nightly basis, and now I get why.
Oh, he's a lovely boy. I could eat him right up.
Oh, please don't. I have to take your head off if you do. And I laugh just cordially.
She laughs as well. Yes, I know. It's not really the way things were run in Charlotte, but I'm really liking it up here in the Northeast.
Well, we had our ups and downs, but we're back at it. I'm actually taking our newest addition to the city around meeting folks, if you'd like to, and I just attempt to shift the dancing back in the direction I just got dragged from.
She grabs onto you, Celeste, and spins you out onto the floor. She's a very tall woman.
Yep. Brush some of the silverfish off me.
And the silverfish begin. Yeah, they leave you as soon as she does, and they crawl back over to her onto the floor. And she says, "What's your name, honey?"
Celeste Ortega. Seem very fun. It's lovely to meet you.
Well, that is a fine name. Can I ask where you're from?
I'm local.
Really? Well, I've always been really good with accents, but perhaps there's some little borough of Boston I don't know about yet. Little Columbia, maybe.
What can I say? My family were immigrants.
Well, that is the American story, isn't it? I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina myself. My name's Eden, Clan Nosferatu. And she looks nothing like Clan Nosferatu.
I will not comment on that. Just kind of keep going with it and be like, oh, lovely. And just keep dancing.
Eventually, Marius and Arthur, as you're standing at the edge of the dance floor, Shu Fang comes up to you, right behind your ear, Marius, and she says, "Well, it's lovely to see you again. What's the matter? Brienne couldn't make it? Couldn't find the right heels, the right outfit, or she just didn't want to be embarrassed tonight?"
Zoe, congratulations. I'm very, very proud of you.
We don't have to lie. The prince isn't here.
I'm not lying. I can be proud of you.
I'm sure you can, but I know that you're not. So where is she?
I don't know who you're talking about. You have to be a little more specific.
She looks at you, Arthur. Where is Brienne?
Indisposed for the evening.
Yes, I heard there was some sort of mishap that happened at the morgue. What I can't figure out is who broke her out.
When you find out, let me know.
Or how she got there to begin with, I suppose.
Well, same deal. When you find out, do let me know.
Well, despite me not having the best friends in your circle, you are both, of course, welcome to the Queen's Envy anytime.
I very much appreciate that. Do you typically have pest control coming by, or is this a special occasion? We got a complaint from one of the primagen, as I point back.
Yes, well, whichever primagen it was, we'll have to take it up with the Nosferatu primagen. She's his guest in the city.
I'll make sure to let Caius know then.
Perfect, and as far as I can tell, the little bugs stay with her wherever she goes. I don't understand it, and I don't really want to. Frankly, it disgusts me.
Well, if she's a friend of the Nosferatu, makes a bit more sense.
Yes. Annoyingly, they are more, clan than sect.
I can understand the appeal.
I bet you can, Arthur. I bet you can.
Well,
It's
pray
really
with
this
them.
lovely place.
Is there anything we can do for you?
Not at all. If there's any type of libation that you'd like to have that we don't have on offer, please just let me know. Oh, and of
Thank
course,
you.
the entire time, a young man was standing next to her, the one with the tattoo of the crown around his head, or the crown of thorns, and she says, oh, of course, and she sort of just shoves him in front of her. This is Joey Patrizia. He's joining the tower.
Hi, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Hey. He's, clan ministry.
Wonderful to make your acquaintance. I'm Arthur.
And Marius.
He holds his hand out to you, Arthur, and you can tell the recognition in his face. He knows exactly who you are. Hi.
Hi. With the one hand, I'm going to shake Joey's hand. With the other hand, I'm going to attempt to catch Celeste from Eden as they dance by.
Sure. Make me a dexterity athletics.
Okie dokie. Going to do a quick surge on that.
Perfect.
Not getting hungrier. I've got plenty of dex athletics. I just want more.
I just want more.
That is 5.
Yes, you can absolutely do that. And Celeste, as you're dancing with Eden and actually having a good time, feels good. It reminds you of your mortal life. Your mortal life as a socialite at the best, hottest clubs in Bogota. You feel someone grab your arm and sort of spin you out away from the dance floor. And now you're sort of...
Not forcibly, but yes.
But very, very casually, and now you're sort of on Arthur's right.
And with that same 5, I'm going to actually transfer my Joey's hand to Celeste and go, This is Celeste Ortega. Celeste, this is Joey. He's new to the tower as well.
Oh, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Ministry. I was told I'm supposed to say that. Do I have to say my sire and my generation too? Because I don't know either one of those things.
Not going to push you for it.
That is good to know that we don't have to say that.
But you got this whole dark goth witchy chick thing going. It's cool. I like it. You remind me of my friend Saris. She does that too. She's got this whole dark vibe thing. She's pretty cool.
Oh, well, thank you. Am I still under my clan compulsion?
I'll allow it to be gone now that Hilda's out of your purview.
Okay. Yes, yes, oddly enough, I'm back to being cordial and smiling. The smile never meets my eyes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's very sweet.
Yeah, and he looks to you, Arthur. Are we allowed to talk about, like, our Anarch friends? Or, like should we not say that?
Friends are friends, but I wouldn't, start making plans and whatnot. In here, people might take it the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah's really cool and, like, totally meet and change clothes, like, not change clothes, like, exchange clothes, like an exchange program. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very nervous.
You're doing great, buddy.
I'll look a little confused and say, Anarch, I've heard that word, but...
Oh, yeah, we're not Ivory, we're the other guys, not Ivory Tower, the other ones.
Yes,
Nice.
another sect that contributed to the protection of the city, though it wasn't brought up earlier.
Yeah, I noticed that. That kind of sucked, but it's also another reason why I'm leaving. Maybe, Arthur, we could talk another time when Shufeng isn't really close. I can feel her hovering.
Joey, you are a man of subtlety. I'd be happy to talk with you later.
Yeah, and I mean, she'll probably always be around because Anarchs are totally gonna fucking kill me if they find out I switch sides, but it is what it is, I guess.
We'll talk.
We're happy to have you, Joey.
Happy to be had, I guess. Gonna go over there before she, I don't know, pops a tit, or is that inappropriate to say in Elisium?
Just don't let her hear you.
Right. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
I'll pivot back to Celeste and just go, sorry about that. I didn't want to miss the opportunity. Did you want to go back to dancing with her?
I'll look back at Eden.
She's already found several other blood dolls to dance with, and some of them she's feeding off of.
That's okay. Continue making our rounds.
Very good. Well, since I got the prompt from Shufeng that if your sire, Marius, has a problem with that one, I should take it up with the Nosferatu primagen. So how about that for our next stop? Celeste, do you like horror movies?
I'm a big fan. She actually said a small chuckle.
Great, you're going to enjoy this.
Caius at the moment is having a discussion with April. April is the herald who invited you all here. April has vitiligo. She's very similar hair to Iverson, and I think both of you would know that she changed her hair when Iverson became prince. And you're not entirely sure the reasoning behind that, but you think it's a way to ingratiate herself. But she did end up getting named Herald, so maybe it worked. And she's having a conversation with Caius, and Caius does look exactly like something out of a horror movie. He's missing his nose completely. You can see right through his face, and his skin is all leathery and tan and practically rotting off. And they're having a discussion. You hear April very loudly saying, "Look, I understand, Caius, I understand, but that macaw, you can't let him in the vents all the time. All he ever does is shit in those vents, and we can smell it up in the higher floors. I understand down in your server room, you want to let your macaw do whatever he wants, but it fucking stinks." And Caius is grumbling to her, he's like, I don't even want to be down in the server room. I mean, I want to be down in the server room, but I don't want to then also have to worry about going up and being, this was Jara's job. This was Jara's job. And April says, "Jara is gone, Caius." And she sees all three of you approach.
Can I possibly make that 3-1 and kind of abscond? I do have some other primagen I should address,
Yeah, if you feel like slipping away from, I'm not going to stop you from going.
Yeah, at one certain point, Marius to stop walking in into a different direction.
I'm like, why? I'm like, oh, because it's April. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Because I remember what you did. I remember now. Forgot for a hot second. Yep.
Yeah. So walking up, just go, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Ezra wanted me to introduce Celeste here to more folks around the area, and I think that's when I'll notice that Marius isn't here.
And Marius did walking up and then started walking backwards.
Yeah.
Like the fake out. April looks like she can't have this conversation with Caius anymore, so she turns around, bright smile, and she's wearing a very sparkly dress. And she says, "It's nice to meet you, Celeste. We have met already. And I know not formally, I just, showed you up to your room, but it's nice to meet you. Welcome to Boston. You'll do great here, I think. You're very pretty."
Thank you. Thank you. I do believe I will do well here. Go where I can be best of service.
Yes, that is the tagline that I keep hearing you say, and that's an important thing to keep repeating to yourself. Now, Arthur, I have a bone to pick with you because I think it's time that you put a fashion section into your radio segments. I think it's beyond time. I think I've brought it up to you multiple times at this point, and still when I listen in, I do not hear any.
You in fact have. It's not a topic that the listener base typically tune in for. Was there something in particular that you really wanted to get out there to the public, though?
Well, yes. I have so many notes on what is fashionable and what is not, and as we both know, Boston is one of the least fashionable cities in America. They put it in the papers. They put it online, I have heard.
Tell you what, April, I've been dodging you on this for a bit. Maybe we can talk a bit later and work out some kind of an exchange for a once-a-week segment. How does that sound?
Yes, I will have my people send you all of my notes, of which there are many, and more every night.
Fantastic. We'll talk about how we're gonna make that work between you and I.
Good. You can deal with Caius, and she just walks off.
Oh dear.
Caius
looks turn to Caius.
Completely despondent. He's slumped down. He didn't even stand up to speak to April. He's just standing there. He has a very bright blue and yellow macaw on his shoulder, and he looks like he would rather be literally anywhere else. Or dead. It's hard to tell.
How you holding up there, Caius?
How do I look like I'm holding up, Arthur?
I'm not going to answer that, Caius. This is Celeste.
Celeste Ortega. Pleasure to meet you.
Welcome to Boston, kid. Hope you survive. It's not easy here.
I have no doubt that I'll make it through.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Kindred said that before the Second Inquisition brought their fucking holy hammer down on us.
Fair enough.
Caius here is the Nosferatu primagen and has a knack for security.
Is that so?
Yes, you are allowed nowhere near my server room.
Also fair enough.
Can't offer any help to whatever haven you'll be squirreled away in. You, La Sombra, tend to ruin everything.
No, Caius. Surely you just mean technologically speaking.
Actually, I do. But, you know, I haven't really been feeling myself since she died, you know.
I understand, friend. I understand. It was a heavy loss.
I'm just glad Vern isn't here tonight, because all he does is stare at me with those puppy dog eyes, trying to feel as sad as I feel about Jara, and I just don't fucking need it.
Well, Vern is otherwise indisposed, but I feel the sentiment.
Yeah, I've heard the sheriff's given him a good one over.
Did you now?
There ain't much that I don't hear. There ain't much that the Nosferatu don't hear. You should know that by now.
Oh, I do, absolutely. There's a reason that so many Nosferatu were so great for the station.
And he looks pointedly at you, Celeste. And if you're gonna tell everyone that you're local, learn the accent better. We dropped the R's, so it's Boston.
I see. I've never been great with accents, but sure. I will do my best.
I don't care what you tell people. Just friendly advice, I guess.
Fitting in advice.
Much appreciated.
Delson's not here because Delson's working Vern over. He's got him in the kennel in Fenway Park.
That is unfortunate to hear. Vern was an incredible help the other night.
I don't know the specifics. I just know what's going on. Plus, I can see it on the cameras, and, you know, Vern was always the dog. I mean, Jara treated him like her dog, and, you know, like a puppy. And Quentin treated him like some weird hound dog. In the weird way that Quentin did everything. But Delson treats him like a bad dog.
Well, matching clans and all. Can't say I am appreciative of all of that, but...
That's the thing, though, is Vern's caitiff.
He always fit in a bit more.
Well, that's the thing, is I would peg him for a gangrel if I had nose to stake on it, right? But, everyone always says he's caitiff. He says he's caitiff. Jara said he was caitiff, so who the fuck am I to say otherwise?
Fair enough. Caius, I'm going to leave you and your bird alone. I can tell that you'd rather decompress. I do have a bit of business I need to leave with you before I go, though. Seems that your friend, Jester Eden, back over on the dance floor, the bugs.
Yeah.
They don't bother me in particular, but Dijon is having a bit of a conniption fit about it. Said he was going to tell the prince about it, and I figured I should let you handle him on that regard, since this is your guest.
You can let Dijon have a conniption fit. He can have a conniption fit all over me, all over the prince. It doesn't really matter. Eden's from the Charlotte court. She's not staying long. She's a friend. She's gonna help us get the circulatory system back online, so to speak.
I think perhaps if you wanted to let him know what was actually going on.
Arthur, I really don't give a rat's ass about Dijon.
I know you don't. I'll have to pass along your word then. You and dear bird enjoy the rest of the evening.
Oh yeah. Only things to enjoy around here.
Fantastic. I'll turn to Celeste and just go, I think I need a drink. How about you?
Sure.
Great. And as I walk away, I just go, I'll send you some slightly less depressing atmosphere at the moment.
Yes, the primagens seem very, very lively and friendly.
Oh, you can speak more plainly if you want to. I'm not one of them.
They're interesting. They'll be interesting to get to know better, whether they know or not.
You really are choice with your words, aren't you?
What can I say? It's how I was raised.
How you were raised or how you were recently raised?
I'll let you decide that for yourself.
Fair enough. Now, why is it better for you to let everybody think that you're local, or is it a personal thing?
Marius, you could have rejoined, like, sort of Assassin's Creed back into the group at this point.
Yeah, I didn't know if you actually wanted to go do something with another primagen or what.
Oh, no, I actually wanted to, like, speak with Ezra and Azariah.
Oh, yeah, okay, we're absolutely gonna wrap up with them,
We'll
so don't worry
look back
about
to
that.
that. Okay.
Yes, it was my choice for that. I do have family here, but that's not important. It was my choice, but I suppose it doesn't truly matter.
No, not really. People are from all over. It's okay to not be, not have your roots here. You're here now.
That is true, I am.
What do you make of it? And again, you don't have to be dodgy or candid about it. Unless your sire's listening in from the darkness, we are talking one-on-one.
I will actually check if there's, like, shadows to be listening in from.
Yeah, are you using shadow perspective at any point? The prince isn't here, so it's a little easier to get away with things.
Oh, without a doubt. In the middle of the what did you call it? Intense kissing?
Deep kissing.
Of Azaria. Yeah, deep kissing of Azaria. Shadowcast and shadow perspective are out.
So you make me 2 rouse checks.
I will say part of me saying that was also for Ezra if he was listening.
Yeah. So you absolutely make me a resolve and oblivion roll because it's loud in here.
Absolutely. I get hungrier. My hunger increases by 1.
That's all right. You have Grandmama to nibble on if you want to.
Oh no, I wonder who can say that.
Not my great grandmama.
What if we would make out and bleed a little in Elysium?
You can't tell. The primagen are all very damaged.
Yeah.
They're having a very bad time in Boston.
I wonder why.
Boston's
Yeah.
great.
They're having a horrid time.
6 successes.
6 successes, yeah. So you've heard the entirety of all of these conversations, including, if you'd like to make a mental note of this, including Caius knowing immediately, and Eden, whoever she is, knowing immediately that Celeste wasn't local. But I mean, again, they're Nosferatu. That's sort of, they trade in secrets. That's sort of their whole gig.
Oh, without a doubt. He will definitely be making a mental note and make a point to pay some respects tonight.
After looking around and noticing shadows and just being on the more precautious side, I can tell that the damage is lasting, and there is a threat of despair in the air. How to rebuild? Yes, to say the least. How to rebuild from here? Well, I hope I can help.
It's very Very noble of you. Isn't it, Marius?
Very tiring, I can tell. I was in your position a couple of years ago, being the child of someone great.
It is as much an honor as it is a burden.
You know, that feels like the first lax thing I've heard you say so far tonight. You've really got that pressure on you, don't you?
Just shrugs and looks for a drink.
At the bar where Hilda and MM still are, you can go to the other side of the bar, and decanters of blood are here. You notice that the people serving them, sorry, the firework went off and my dog is like, hold me. The people serving them have masks and well-tailored suits, and they see you approach and almost robotically pour 3 glasses into sort of these crystal goblets for all 3 of you.
I'll take it. Do you have any Jameson?
He looks at you very confused.
Not the person, the drink.
Oh, yes, in the bar upstairs for the mortals.
Upstairs. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you.
This is blood infused from someone who consumed many, many oranges.
Good to know.
I hope it is to your palate. If you'd like something else, we have a menu available.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate that.
Marius
take
is
it.
looking at the goblet very hesitantly. And just to try, just a drop, see what it tastes like.
Are you asking to use a taste for blood, or you're legitimately drinking it?
I'm legit taking, like,
Tastes good. Very, very citrusy, very fruity, very robust. It's yummy. All of you are only at 1 hunger, so you're just drinking for funsies.
okay.
I'll take one of the glasses and kind of turn to Arthur and Marius and raise it and say, "To new friends and rebuilding Boston."
You're growing comfort at a new location. I'll clink the glass.
Ezra, you can now at this point see that Celeste has, at the very least, if not, it might be a facade, it might not, but at the very least, Celeste has cemented herself as having made new friends tonight. If you'd like to call her back to the dais.
Before you do, I imagine that in French, Azaria would be speaking to Ezra in a way that the tone fully doesn't fit the conversation. The tone that she's speaking in is this like very sweet and loving, like soft tone, right? So everyone outside of the conversation would hear them talking in like soft French to each other. But what she's actually saying to him is, well, she starts with, "Je ne comprends pas ce que tu vois en elle. Have you broken her soul? Have you... does she have no spirit to show? I will go where I am needed to serve." She keeps repeating that. What is it?
She is finding herself. She is broken. She is rebuilding.
Did you break her, or was she like that?
This is our way, Mirena. She will become more. But for now, she is a pawn. You have so little faith in me.
It has nothing to do with you. Sometimes our upbringing is not enough. I have met it many times before. I take care of those disappointments. All I am saying is she shows no spirit.
Ezra will reach his hand behind her head, and as he kisses her neck, just whisper, "A replacement is ready, should she fail. Trust me." Mi diosa. Quiero probarte. I want to taste you. Do you wish to taste me?
You can taste me now, I will taste you later. When we're alone. But show them.
I will look out into the crowd, taking a look at anyone who might be witnessing.
Everyone's, but especially Hilda, is keeping an eye on you. Usually it's out of the corner of her eye, but she, out of everyone, hasn't really dropped her gaze from you at any point.
Let them watch my goddess, and I will bite deep.
As you bite into Azaria, I need to know, Arthur, Celeste, or Marius, do you see this or not? I'll let you decide if you have glanced over to them at any point to see this while you're clinking glasses and just like chilling out.
Considering that I'm looking for people to introduce Celeste to, I imagine I inevitably see that.
Mm-hmm. Celeste, I imagine you two were also, like, as much as possible keeping an eye on Ezra.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if whenever I can steal a glance.
What about you, Marius?
Marius sees it and then goes right back into the glass. Like when you step in on someone changing. Oh, that is not for me to see.
Ezra, Azaria's blood is, of course, you've tasted it before. It's deep, it's rich, there's a fire to it. It's old, it's older than you. It's blood from several hundred years ago, and its divine is doing it a disservice. And you may remove yourself one hunger unless you are attempting to take all of it.
I will take the one and then briefly stop and then whisper in her ear, Tienes fe en mí? Do you have faith in me? And then drink more than I need.
She will... There is a unnoticeable flit of... If Azaria's heart could beat, it would for a second, as she remembers feelings that are fading for her very fast, have been fading for a very long time. And in the split second of what to herself is weakness, but to others just seems like a loving gesture, she would raise one of her hands to like kind of play in his hair as she allows him to drink more.
And of course, the kiss, the bite, is ecstasy. You said it reminds you of mortal days when you were the lover of many, many people, long before you became kindred. And I need you to make me 2 rouse checks, Azaria, to see if you gain hunger yourself.
2 successes.
You do not. So Ezra, you take more than you need, gluttonous of you, but proving your point. Lick the wound closed. And as all 3 of you over by the bar notice this exchange happening, which of our 2 primagen here would gesture for the coterie to return?
I would.
And what is that gesture? A single flick of the hand, Celeste, from your sire.
I will set the glass, kind of finish what I was drinking, set the glass down on the bar, and say, looks like we're being called forth once again. And start walking.
Absolutely. And I'll put my glass down, notably undrank, just on the bar, and follow behind. I do, in a not like barely stopping drive-by fashion, want to intersect with Dijon before I head over there.
Sure. Yeah. We can say he's over at the bar talking with Hilda.
As I'm walking, it's like light tap on the shoulder for attention, not even stopping to walk away. Dijon asked about it. No can do. Special guest of the Nosferatu Primagen and Prince Iverson. I'm sure they'll understand. I'm sure you'll understand. Thanks. And to keep on going. just drop it on him of like, yeah, you can bitch, but it's her call.
And Marius, as you are sort of bringing up the caboose of this thing, you just see that very familiar Jean. As we've discussed before, Jean was an angry man in life, and he's never really tempered that in unlife, and the seething look that he gives Arthur is usually reserved for you. But he doesn't say anything to you.
Unflappable as always, just...
So the three of you head back up onto the dais. Celeste leading the three of you there, and it's nice to see Ezra, whereas Celeste was led away, it appears that she is leading them all back in the front.
How do you find my progeny?
Delightful, absolutely. It's a pleasure to spend some time with her, getting her acclimated to everybody here. Well, there's so many more people to meet, after all, despite the number drop.
Well, you will have ample time to do so. She will be joining our coterie tonight.
Oh,
Will she now?
how wonderful.
I will look to Celeste,
Did I know that? Okay.
which is why I'm looking to Celeste. I want to see if I can read that.
She'll kind of raise her eyebrows, but quickly back to being stoic.
Well, I am sure... Well, actually, you know what? It's not my coterie after all. Marius and Branny were the ones that invited me, but... Marius, how do you feel? You think this will be a good fit?
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't matter
See
what your
any-
thoughts are.
Ah,
I've cleaned up your mess. Consider this a boon repaid.
Have you now? Thank you so much. We'll pass that along. And Celeste, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be had. I'll kind of glance to Ezra and then smile back to Arthur and Marius.
Speaking about debts being paid, it's a pity that only two of you are here tonight. I was hoping to meet the full group, but it will happen another night, I'm sure. However, as I said before, you, the two of you and the rest of you, are a symbol to the Camarilla. I truly mean it when I say that. You will be a pillar in what we want to accomplish in the city. For that, even though you may not know me from my previous times in Boston, or not really know me, as she looks at Arthur, I would like to offer your coterie a boon. See it as a gift and a token of what I hope your coterie will accomplish here. You can call upon me if you need me for services.
We'll have to let the Harpy know that. It's very generous of you, Azaria. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
it
so much.
is. And I'll kind of look to Azaria as I say that.
Now, while I have you here, I'm wondering. It has been quite some time since I have been in Boston, and it seems that, well, I certainly know that you, looking at Arthur, have quite a few of connections in multiple sects. I can't speak for the rest of your coterie. I was wondering if you have ever heard about a kindred named Lasher.
Storyteller?
You may roll me.
Clocking Finn's reaction.
No, you've heard. No, you may roll me with Streetwise, Arthur.
Okay.
now is there any role I can make to remain stoic?
Yes.
I think you have to.
Composure and subterfuge.
Yeah.
Azaria, wits and insight.
Yes.
Two for me.
I'm gonna blood buff.
2 successes. You think you've heard that there is some artist somewhere in the South End named Lasher, but you don't know that if they are kindred or not.
Okay.
And don't know anything about them, but besides that they have a gallery or they are an artist, something like that.
I get a little
I will-
hungrier.
Search my blood. I don't get hungrier.
You get way too many extra dice when you do that.
I know. So that is a wits insight?
Yeah, you already have a lot of insight.
Sure.
More.
But this is important to me.
Yeah.
I have a specialty subterfuge against Kindred.
Yep. Add that dice. That die.
Add it.
It's a great specialty.
It's too
Want to
many.
hear this?
Can't really. Zarya has 4 blood potency. It's from eating all those yummy children. Nom, nom, nom.
And they say that's a lot of snacks.
That is.
It's like skincare.
Zarya's
hate that
never
phrasing.
denied herself a treat in her life.
And I will use the willpower as well.
Jesus.
I will also use
That-
willpower.
And that was such a submissive sentence too.
It starts. The power game starts.
Yeah.
6 successes.
Uh-huh. She's still counting.
12.
Sick.
Sickening.
That's my paramour.
Um,
All I'm saying, this is very
yes.
important to me.
So Arthur, you like you said, some artists in Southie.
Which is what I'll say. Like some artist, I believe in the town didn't realize they were one of ours.
But Zarya, you look to Marius and you see Marius's attempts to hide it, but Marius's face drops entirely. They know exactly who Lasher is.
She looks at Marius. She's giving him the dignity to speak up.
I'm aware of a Samitsi named Lasher.
I'm assuming since they're not here tonight, they're not of our sect. So then they must be an anarch.
Very astute observation, primagen.
I was wondering, seeing as you know them, or are aware of them, could you perhaps arrange a meeting? I would love to meet them.
I'll see what I can do.
It's not good enough for Zarya. Storyteller, I would like to use dominate, rationalize, so that they think this is their own idea when I say the next few words.
All right, so that is charisma and dominate versus Marius's intelligence and resolve, please. Arthur, because you are acting sheriff, I need you to make a wits and insight here.
Yeah, I'll surge on that one. I was about to ask if there was any way I could actually tell.
Yep. Should be something for you to tell the prince later.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to go toe for toe with Zarya right here.
Charisma and dominate. Okay.
5 critical.
1, 2,
Let me willpower mine to finish it up.
Oh no, the consequences.
11
of my actions.
successes.
11 for Marius.
8 on my wits insight total after the willpower. 8 critical.
$13.
All right. 8.
Sick.
I'm gonna absolutely allow you to notice this. But yes, Zarya, you have rationalize, you have compel. So compel is a very short command. It's not mesmerize, which is much longer, more complex. So you can give a very short command to Marius, and whatever that command is, Marius, you will internalize and rationalize it. That is your own free will.
Yeah.
Whatever
She'll
the
say-
command is.
Yes. Please arrange a meeting for me with Lasher. I would appreciate it.
Of course, I think it would be nice for the Samitsi primagen to meet the other clanmates.
It's not about sects, but sure.
Oh, of course not.
It's about
I-
clan.
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that. She looks straight at Arthur again. She says, do you, or I heard that you haven't been a coterie for very long, but do you or any of your coterie members have a lot of contact with humans?
I can't speak for the others, but I do have a radio show.
So is that a yes?
Do you listen to the radio? Do you know what a radio is?
I know what a radio is.
Then yes, many people listen to the radio and thus hear me and thus are communicated to.
Yes, what I... Rather, do you have a lot of contact with humans where you can gauge them?
Oh, from time to time.
All right.
I imagine Brainy does as well, given her status, but I don't want to presume.
Then I very much look forward to speaking again in the future about possible services to be exchanged.
Absolutely. And because of your gracious offer earlier, I'm going to play it a bit nicer, but from one clan that's not typically part of the Camarilla to another, and I'll gesture to both of them, the prince typically doesn't like power usage in here. Figured I'd bring it up since she asked me to stay as sheriff. We can just drop that, though.
I appreciate it. I'm quite new to being primagen.
Figured, but again, you were already so kind to us. Just the information alone seems like a great idea.
You
Any messages?
Coterie are free to visit Ezra and me anytime.
Thank you.
Indeed. Before you do take your leave, though, I want to make something clear. I'm aware of the whispers, the rumors, perceptions that people might have about me. Make no mistake, Celeste is my progeny and I love her deeply. Take good care of my girl.
Like one of our own.
I will have, of course, a very stiff smile to my sire and then kind of turn it to my new coterie mates and just kind of nod as a gesture like, thanks, that's sweet.
Now, if I would have a moment alone with my daughter.
Absolutely. And I'm going to reach into my pocket for one of the radio business cards and hand it to Celeste and just go, I don't know if there is a kind of phone that you can use, but if you can, easy way to get in touch.
Thank you. I will do my best.
There are some payphones that are still around the city, I think. Landlines and whatnot.
Well, Celeste has a last moment with her sire. Marius and Arthur, would you like to have a conversation as well?
Don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah, walking away. I'm gonna look to Marius and just gonna.
Oh well, that was fun. That was your word from earlier. Fun.
I was gonna say painless, but either way.
Oh. That thing you mentioned earlier. You don't think?
Oh, she did. Maybe hold off on the meeting thing unless you feel particularly compelled to.
Very funny choice of words there.
But like I said, she was kind enough to offer us that boon, so I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it. Figured I'd let them know, let you know, let it slide from there.
I might catch that boon if you don't mind.
I have no problem with that. I imagine the others would love to meet her first, but I've got no problems with that.
That's between the two of us.
Oh, well then by all means. Does your sire, is he usually so
vivacious? Yes.
Is he?
Oh, well, beats me.
as we're going to end our prologue, Celeste and Ezra. Now, Azara, are you going to be present for this conversation?
No, I'll leave them, daddy and daughter, to have a conversation. I don't particularly care.
What do you make of them?
They seem easy to get along with. This makes them easy to get favors from, maybe.
Favors, getting along with, this doesn't interest me.
Of course.
Could you control them?
I think so.
Your performance tonight was subpar. I expect more of you in the future. And this is my last gift to you. You are now a part of the first coterie. What you do with that, I'll be watching very carefully.
Yes, sir.
But this is my last gift. From here on, you're on your own. I will be watching. You may come to me for advice, to air grievances. I am your primagen, for all that entails. You may take Olvido with you. Nothing more.
Thank you, sir.
He will take her hand and put a hand on her cheek. You are my progeny. Great things are expected of you, not just from me, from the whole of this world. Fail in any regard, and your replacement has already been laid bare. You are not unique. You are not irreplaceable. Prove to me that you're worth it.
Maybe a flash of, we'll call it, anger that goes across her face before she bites it back and says, I will not fail you, sire.
My love for you does not outweigh my logic. See that you don't.
And that is where we're going to end Prologue 3, Death Shamble, for this evening. Thank you, everyone. Absolutely beautiful.